Hi, welcome back. Pankaj from Sons of Technologies. Many of the times you might see the interviewer will give you a sheet of paper and might ask to write down and show the program of Singleton class. So now in this session we are going to see the different ways of creating a Singleton class. Let's see Singleton class. So first of all, what is Singleton class? Singleton class is based on one of the creational design pattern. So here a class of which only one object can be created is called Singleton class. Example, if there is a company, we can have only one CEO for a company. So if I have a class CEO, I need to make it as a Singleton class. Similarly, principal of a college or president of a country. So in all these cases, we need to make sure that we cannot create more than one object of that class. So in all these scenarios, we create such classes as Singleton class. Then creating Singleton classes. So we have different ways to create a Singleton class. Let's find out them. So the first way of creating a Singleton class is called as early binding. So in this case, the instance of the class will be created initially itself at the time of loading of that class, and whenever any requirement comes from the application, then the same instance is returned every time. So this is called as early binding, because the instance is already created and kept in the memory at the time of class loading and returned every time thereafter. Then the next two ways are called as late binding, out of which the one is created at runtime only when the first time the request arrives, and then the same object is returned for multiple requests thereafter. Means in the memory by default there will be no existing object. The object is only created at runtime whenever the first request arrives for the object, and then once the object is created, thereafter the same object is returned for furthermore requests. Then the other type of late binding, in which case the instance is again created only when the first time the request arrives, but the subsequent requests will not return the object, rather than it will return the null. Means only in first case the request comes, the object is created and returned, and then the second request onwards no object is returned. These kind of instances will be helpful in the scenarios where you want to generate the object only once and make it available, but later on it should not be available. Example, it could be an coupon code where the coupon code is only created once based on some special criteria, but if the same coupon code is entered, it should not create that facility as it is already been utilized. Let's see practically doing the same things. Let's see different ways of creating a Singleton class. For that, I am going to the same Java FAQ folder, opening with command prompt and typing notepad singleton demo.java. So the file is opened, and let me arrange it into two half screen. Yes, now it has been arranged. So let's write class ABC, and this is the class which I want to make as a Singleton class, and then public class Singleton demo with public static void main. First of all, if I keep the class ABC as it is, then I will be able to create as many objects of that class we want. Like here, for example, I am creating 3 objects of this class ABC, A1, A2 and A3, and then trying to compile this code javac singleton demo.java, and yes, it is compiling. So this shows that we can create as many objects we want of the class. Now, if I want to restrict this, first and foremost thing we have to do is we have to make the constructor private so that no one can call this from outside the class. So here you can see now, if I compile, it is showing me error for creating an object of this class using constructor. So no one can use new ABC to create an object of this class. Second thing, we need to make one static final reference for ABC object like this. Now, what is the meaning of this statement? First of all, we have created an object here and made that particular reference variable final so that no one can initiate or initialize any other object to A1 reference. Second thing, it is static, means only one copy of this object is available throughout the memory, plus static also are those variables which are created at the time of loading of the class itself. So now this object will be created as soon as the class ABC will be loaded in the memory. Then I have made it private so that no one can directly access this object. So if the variable, that is our ABC A1 object, is private as well as constructor is private, then how to access this object? So we have to provide here one static method, because we have not created any instance of this class. So hence we have to make it static so that this method can be called without creating an object. So here public static return type ABC, and get ABC is the method which I am giving as, and here just we have to return A1. And now finally, whenever I want the object, I will be calling from here ABC dot get ABC. So this is the method which will return me the object. Now the question comes is, every time when I call this method, will it return me the same object or different objects? So to see the proof, here I will be typing system.out.println A1 double equal to A2, because A1 and A2 will be holding the references. So if both are two different objects, then they will be having two different references. But yes, if they are both the same object, then both of their references will be same. So here I am comparing A1 double equal to A2, A2 double equal to A3 and A1 double equal to A3. So if all the three are same single object, then I should be getting the output as true here for all these three statements. So let's check out. By compiling this code, I have missed the semicolon here. So putting the semicolon for all the three and then recompiling it. So you can notice this time the output is coming with all the three displayed as true. So this shows that yes, all the three objects are same single object returned every time you call getABC method. So in this example, we have created a class which is loaded at the time of loading the class itself, because the static variables are created at the time of loading of the class. So it creates an object and keeps it in the memory readily available. Whenever anyone calls getABC method, the same object is returned every time. So this is an example of singleton class with early binding. Now let's see how to achieve the singleton class with late binding example. For that, we have to do some changes here, like first change, I will be making it null. So I don't want to create an object as soon as the class is loaded. So here I will remove final keyword because I am going to assign A1 equal to new object of ABC later. Only when someone calls ABC method, that is get ABC method. For that, here we have to put the logic by typing if A1 double equal to null. Then I am typing A1 equal to new ABC and then typing return A1. So in this example, what will happen is whenever someone calls first time ABC method, that is get ABC method, it will come here and it will check is A1 double equal to null. Yes, first time when we call it will be null, so it will create an instance of that class and make it referred by A1 and then return the same thing. And second time onwards when the same method is called, A1 will no more be null, so hence it will just return the existing object. So in this way, this particular class will make sure like an instance of this class is only created when the first time the request comes to this method, and once it is instantiated, then onwards it will return you the same object for every request. Let's see the output. So I will save this code and come back, and then if I compile and execute, so you can see that this time also I am getting the same output true. So hence, yes, this time also we are able to create an object which is singleton, but yes, this is late binding. Now let's see the last type of creating the singleton class object, in which case only the first time the request comes to the method it should instantiate an object and return, whereas from the second request onwards it should not create any object and should not return anything back to the application. So let's see that coding. So for that I need to create here one counter variable, public static int count equal to 0 initially, and this counter variable I'll be incrementing here, and then finally here I'll be typing if count double equal to 0, then return new ABC, otherwise return null. So in this code we have written whenever the first time the requirement comes or a call is made to get ABC method, it will check the counter, which will be definitely 0 in the beginning case, so it will create one new object and return it. Whereas while doing this operation, internally in the constructor it has incremented the count variable by 1. So next time when the call comes to get ABC method, definitely count will not be 0. So in that case it will just return you the null. Means the subsequent requests made there onwards, it will always return me null. So only for the first time I will get an instance of this class created. So in this way also only one object of this class is created, and for the further subsequent request it will just return me null. So let's see this. To understand this code, now same thing I have kept as it is, but rather than using double equal to A2, because A2, A3 will be null this time, so it will be always returning false. So here I will be keeping all these three separately, and now let's see the output. So this time the first object should be with a reference value, which will be a hash code in hexadecimal format, whereas the A2 and A3 should be null. So let's check out this. So saved, and if I try to compile here, compiled, and if I execute, yes, I have got only the instance for first one but not for the second and third requests. So in this example it is clear that again I am able to create only one object of this class. So the second and third examples which we saw are actually the example of late binding. They are only created when the method is called. But in the second case, it is creating the object first time when the request is made, but for subsequent requests it is returning the same object. But in this third type, Here the first time we call the method, it is creating an object and returning, but the second and third time, means the subsequent request, will not create any object or not return the existing object as well. Now just an additional note, here we have made it as a singleton class, but what if there is a query that I need to create only 5 objects of this class, no more than 5 objects. So how to implement that kind of logic? So here let me restrict it for 2 objects. Like example, if I am playing a chess game, so I need to make sure no more than 2 instances of players should be created for a single game. So in that case, how to restrict that it will not be able to create more than 2 objects? So here I can just come and make it if count less than 2. That's it. Only this much change we have to do here. So after making this, it will only create 2 objects of this class. Yes, there will be 2 different objects. It will not be same single object. There will be 2 different objects which will be created and returned. And if anyone call this method once again, the third object will be null. So to see this demo, just save it, and now I am compiling this code and executing. So you can notice there are 2 objects created of this class, and then third time if anyone calls, it will be returning null. So this is the code when you want to restrict the number of objects to be created of this class. So but here for this code I am just making it back to double equal to 0 because this is an example of singleton class now. But just an additional input that if you want to restrict with number of objects or number of instances of that class, then you can just play around here by putting different conditions. So hope you have got the answer for what is singleton class and what are the different ways we can create a singleton class. Thanks for watching. See you with next question.